I done forgot how to do any of this. Nope, that's not the right. That's not the right one. What's up, brother?
Hello, hello. Hey, brother, how's it going? Oh, so the new desktop streaming didn't seems to be missing a few features still. Oh, you can't hear me because you. Hey, corporate, how's it going?
You can't hear me?
I couldn't for a second there because you had alt tabbed on your phone,
Oh,
and when you alt tab your phone, it kills the camera.
all right. Well, hold on. Let me unplug my camera and my mic over here. I don't need
And
Big
to,
Brother watching me. All right, hold on. Let me get the right background.
and to whomever just get their comment filtered by TikTok, that's TikTok filtering you. I don't have any specific filters set up, so mind your manners. Love, can you hear me? I'm so sorry to ask this. Could you really quick grab my red bag from the van?
There we go. There we go.
Should be in the trunk.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah,
All
corporate,
right.
somebody's not keeping it PG at all. It's very, very unfortunate.
Hey, what's up, corporate? What's up, brother? Glad you can make the stream. Hold on. Let me close out of TikTok for desktop. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. Like I'm able to share my screen, so I don't have to like take my phone and put it up to the computer screen anymore. Like I can just
Hmm?
like it's YouTube or Twitch. So it's useful when I'm debunking things or when people want me to pull up something to like read or show them. But yeah, the guest features I guess haven't been updated yet.
Oh, I wonder if the guest also has to be on the desktop.
I don't think so. When I pulled it up to like turn on the setting, because I didn't know that I had to turn it on. When I turned on the setting, it didn't say that. It just said that I could invite guests. I can invite up to two guests. So I can't do, like the eight that we can
Yeah.
on mobile or whatever, but I can do two guests. And it didn't say you guys can't use your camera. So I don't know. I think this is all new for TikTok. I don't think they really know like desktop streaming. So,
It was also like I couldn't invite you to host. That was what was weird. It's like I could see you, but the invite button was just grayed out.
oh wow, interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Just curious, what exactly makes you believe witchcraft has any effect? Have you seen direct results? Yes, I've been doing this for 21 years. There are, of course, direct results. If you're looking to observe it like a scientist in a lab, you're going to come up short. Spirituality, which occultism falls under, is a experiential sort of a thing, not a spectator sport. So you wouldn't be able to sit on the sidelines and watch. You do have to engage. So if you want to prove or disprove witchcraft or magic or demons or spells or whatever to yourself, I urge you to take the true scientific method and do the work, not just relying on other people's research and results. Do the experiment yourself and see where you net out. That would be my advice to you, Zain Awad or Zain. What's up, Burley? Welcome, welcome. What is
Corporate has
Hermeticism? Yeah,
said,
so it is a Greco-Egyptian religion, highly, highly unorganized. I won't say disorganized, because that denotes some type of organization, just didn't work. There really is no organization to the religion, but it is a Greco-Egyptian religion that has Neoplatonic influences, and it essentially, how do I want to describe it compared to other religions? It's a
it's less
religion with no
focused on
dogma. Oh,
nuance.
sorry, go ahead.
Like I said, I think we're actually coming to the same thing. It's less focused on like the nuance of how and the specifics of like this specific reason for this and that. It's more overarching in purpose.
Yeah, yeah. So there's no real dogmatism to it, um, uh, outside of maybe things like God is most manifested and unmanifest, how that he's distant from us. I guess cosmologically there really is no room for debate or anything like that. But outside of that, there's no like you must do this. There is no like 10 commandments or the pillars or anything like that. There's no rules and laws for us to follow, or anything like that. Other than you must worship God through the love of his creation, and through the understanding of his creation and the acknowledgement of the beauty of his creation. So Crowley crotch. I don't know what that means. Crowley crotch. What is that?
That
Or
sounds like a very, very like wild STD.
you got Crowley crotch?
Ooh, apocalyptic. Do Hermeticists have holy objects they use during prayers or rituals, like
Come
beads,
on.
shawls, etc.? Um, Generally, no. When you think of it in the Hermetic sense, all of creation is your temple. The closest I would say is typically you would want to do prayers facing towards the current sun, so east in the morning, west in the evening, more ambivalent in mid-noon. But other than that, it's very, very, again, those specific nuances of how you need to do things aren't emphasized. In fact, there's actually a section of the Hermetica that talks about you should not burn incense to honor God because you can't really give gifts to the Creator because it's kind of like spending your spouse's money to buy them a gift. They
Yeah.
already own all the incense. What are you really giving them? But we also have to talk about whether we're praying to Monad or whether we're praying to the lesser gods, the little g's, the demiurge of polytheism. In terms of the lesser gods, you would follow their traditions.
Amen. Uh, I don't know what your name is because it's a dash. How are you guys doing that? You like I see people with names that are just emojis and shit. Like how do you guys do that? But guy with the dash for the name. I have a video on that. It's pinned, I believe. If it's not pinned, it's in my playlist. I have playlists. Go to the Get Starting playlist, and I have a video on how to get started. No, Burley, I don't know any books about working with Samson. You mean the biblical Samson, right? The guy with the hair, strong, got his hair cut, now he's not strong. Yeah, no, I don't have any books on that. I'm sorry.
Hi, Miranda. We are about to begin a live reading of the Hermetica, which are a series of texts based on the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus.
Amen.
No, nobody, neither myself nor Rebel, works with Satan.
No.
I don't believe in Satan on any. Like, when you look at the more original context of Satan as a like divine opponent, I don't necessarily believe that Creator has created a divine opposition, a thing that actually stands against me. And in the more modern random interpretation of tiny hooves and horns and pitchfork, I definitely do not believe that there's an eternal torturer created by Creator.
Not in the least. We got nothing to be saved from. B Quicks has a pretty interesting question. I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Well, he has a two-part question. The first part's
All
for
right.
me, but the second part is for the both of us. So for the Discord B Quicks, in my profile, on my page here, click on the clickable link because there's a link to my website, but that's not clickable. And then there's a clickable link that actually leads out to my stand page, where I offer all my services. On my stand page at the top, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with across most social media sites, there's the links to all your social medias, right? Click on the one for Discord. As long as the device you're using to access that link has Discord on it and you're signed in, it should work. Second part of the question, second question. What's the Hermetic thought regarding the simulation theory? That's a very interesting question. I don't have an answer for that, so I'd like to get
Simulation
your
theory,
thoughts.
in my opinion, is just deism, which is largely the
Okay.
Hermetic take with more steps. It's a
Okay. All right.
I can't believe in a supernatural influence, and so it must instead be a giant computer simulation. I'm not a fan of simulation theory because
Neither am I.
while it is, in my opinion, very largely just, again, a form of theism, specifically deism, but with more steps to get there, it also takes away the importance of creation. Because if we're just a simulation within a simulation within a simulation, nothing we do matters because, well, worst it could do is corrupt the data of something.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I was
and
actually
I
going to say I see it more as like a nihilist system rather than a deist system because nothing would matter, right? I mean, we're all just programs floating, we're just the Sims. So whether or not I, lose my job or paint the picture or kiss the girl, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, someone's going to turn the computer off and like who cares? So
I I call it deism because simulation theory still requires a creator, but it's a creator who doesn't interact with our worlds.
true.
That's what I mean by deistic. Like it's just
Okay.
that same concept in philosophy, but devoid of the parts of it that matter.
Yeah. Excellent. I'll let your question be quick. Sorry, I don't have an opinion. That's the first time I ever even thought about putting simulation theory and Hermeticism together. So
Um,
Crowley Crotch makes you feel like you got kicked down some stairs.
so Apocalyptic was saying that they asked you this earlier, but one of my thoughts on the Dharmic teachings. So I was
Yes, they
looking
did
it
ask me
up.
earlier.
Dharmic teachings look like they're a Hindu tradition, and I will be honest with you.
Yes.
I am not super familiar with Hindu teachings. So my thoughts would be I am not educated enough to have thoughts.
Where's my
And Stoic, whose username I love, was asking if we're fans of Hegel, in which case, do we mean George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel? And if so, I am, again, not familiar with the works directly. Looks like he did a lot of work about dualism, in which case I would need to sit down and dive into it a little bit to get thoughts.
Sorry, I had to put my microphone away. I don't like it getting dust on it, so I use a cover. Um, what was the question about Heigl?
Fans of Hegel.
I'm not super familiar with his work, so I don't think it would be worth it to comment. I'm not that familiar with his work.
To my Masonic brothers that came in, welcome to you all. I kind of got like behind on chat there, so I don't want to go one by one. I apologize. Rolanda, that's a nice series of biblical quotations you've got there. Maybe you could take a second and learn about other faiths if you're interested. If you're wanting to learn, we'd love to share with you. Not a push to become a Hermeticist. Generally, my spiel is unless you're already a Hermeticist, unless hearing this already makes sense, you should not convert to Hermeticism. It is not meant to be a path for everyone. Everyone is at the point they're just, this is the teachings they need to be following. But it's still really good to learn about how other faiths and cultures operate. Which, on that note, Apocalyptic, I was mentioning I don't know Dharmic. I'm assuming goes for Rebel as well. If you'll send me
Hmm.
some good places to get started in learning, I would love to.
Yeah, sure.
Ignorance, in my opinion, is only a vice. Ignorance is only an insult. Ignorance is only a pejorative if it's intentional. If you
Yeah.
know you are ignorant of something and
Willful
stay that
ignorance. Yeah.
way, then it's a problem. But not knowing something as a default, I think just means you have the opportunity to learn.
Amen. Amen. Thoughts on Franz Barden? Barden is neo-hermetic. So I don't have a problem with Barden. I actually recommend Barden. But later on in your Barden's not easy. He's not someone that I would tell. Even if you're on your fifth year of practicing magic, I still wouldn't recommend Barden. He's a heavy lift. So I mean, even though he only wrote three books, four if you count the Golden Book of Wisdom, and if you even count that as his book, some people say he didn't write that. But even though he only wrote three books, it's heavy. I mean, IIH is going to take you a while to get through if you actually work through it. So you can forget about practical magic of evocation and um, the Key to the True Kabbalah, I think it's called. Um, so I don't mind Barton, but he's heavy. He's very heavy. So just keep that in mind if you're going to go down Barton's route. Not many people go down. That's why you don't really hear of any like practitioners, right? There's plenty of scholars who'll talk about Barton because it's a scholarly thing to talk about. But people who actually practice Barton, those are few, far, and in between. At least people who talk about it publicly, because he's not easy. Most people start and they're like, okay, going to go back to my regular scheduled programming because this is a little heavy out here. So I don't mind Barton, but he's some heavy work. Get ready for some PhD level occult work. That's all I'm going to say.
And then Ian says, "Sorry, never heard of Hermeticism." That's fine. Um, you probably heard of more of it than you realize, but without the greater context, you may have missed certain parts of it. But you're welcome to hang out and listen and ask questions and learn if you desire.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it's Wednesday. What's up, brother Hummingbird? It's Wednesday. Totes Day.
Totes McGoats.
Totes McGoats.
And then
What
Corporate
are
Hermetist.
the core? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Corporate Hermetist had a question on alchemy. Do I do lab alchemy or do I also do spiritual alchemy? Um, to me, in my opinion, you cannot be a lab alchemist and not do spiritual alchemy. And on the flip side, if you're doing spiritual alchemy, you're going to hit a wall without lab alchemy. I think that both are necessary if you're really going to call yourself an alchemist. That said, my lab alchemy has suffered as of late. My lab project is far behind, and I have not been keeping up with my kitchen alchemy. So, for shame.
um, Rose has an excellent question. What are the core tenets or the pillars of Hermeticism? We actually don't have any. There's no like you have to do this, and if you don't do this, then it's a sin, or you're going to get some kind of a punishment, or anything like that. There's
I'd
no hard or
say,
fast like rules
I'd say there are
in the way
two
you're probably
rules.
thinking.
I'd say that there
Sorry.
are like two rules. The first foremost is just love God, and you can love God through the acts of creation. Love God as source, as creator. Show that for the divine nature. And
As we spoke
second
about earlier.
is treat the creation as if you were a creator of it. The text uses the word father a lot. I think that that is just a cultural issue. I think the actual issue is treat it like a parent, a protector, someone who is a guardian of. And that can be anything from being a teacher, being a tutor to somebody, just being a role model. In some fashion, act as if you matter to this world because you matter to the creator. Those are the two things I would say are the Torah tenets. They're the two commandments, I guess you could say.
There you go. There you go, Rose. I hope that answers your question. Oh, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Wait, stop it. Tico, uh, whatever your last name is, it's not there anymore. I see that you requested to come up. We will only accept guests to come up if you are here to discuss Hermeticism, not to, discuss anything else, not to discuss, it against Christianity or it against Islam or anything like that. You can come up if you want to discuss Hermeticism and Hermeticism only. Outside of that, we would not be accepting any guests.
Apocalyptic says that they have a couple of sins. One is don't be a phallus, and the other is don't be pure hedonist.
And don't read the Kabbalion. Those are the three core
You can
pillars
read the
of
Kabbalion,
Hermeticism.
just read it for what it is, and then answer the basic question: how can any good spiritual lesson start with a lie?
And then use it as toilet paper.
Yep.
Or not. You might get a paper cut. So don't use it toilet paper. Use it to make paper origami.
Well,
Thesis,
apocalyptic.
antithesis, synthesis. What does that mean?
Is someone else playing peppers in your chat?
No, not that I see, at
Well,
least not right now. But I mean, I'm 15 questions behind,
well,
but
when I say
not
Red
that
Hot
I
Chili
see.
Peppers, have you ever like read the lyrics of their songs?
Oh, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, I obviously know who they are, and I know some of their songs, but no, I'm not actually. I'm not really a fan, so I'm not really. I'm a fan of Flea because he's a kind of an actor, but other than that,
Well, so let me get you a good example of it.
he was Donnie from the Wall of Thornberries, which was an awesome show in my childhood.
Now, there's one of the songs where they talk about like they just say random words like steak knife, butter bread, chicken weasel. And so I'm just
What?
like, when people spout
Sound like
those
something
word
Kanye West
salads
would do.
and nothing into the chats, I'm like, oh, you're playing Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're one of the lyrics for them.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That
I
sounds like
wicked waffle.
something Kanye West would do. I see why you're friends with this guy, Mystic. Yeah, I love Alchemic. He's great. He's the reason why we do this. He reached out to me almost a year ago, and basically was like, "You're the only person I see doing any actual hermetic stuff. Let's get together and like let's try to make this a thing." So here we are.
That may be one of the greatest compliments I've ever been paid. Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. You deserve it. We wouldn't be here almost every week if it wasn't for you, man. I'd be on here yelling at people for believing new age nonsense. I wouldn't be giving any actual hermetic wisdom.
Do we believe God has human avatars? No.
No, yeah, no, no.
So God is the creator and the actual material of creation. The closest you might get God having an avatar would be the Poimandres, which was the mind of God, which spoke with Hermes in the beginning story, the like initiation, like his first understanding of the universe. Um, Otherwise, no. We are all expected to have our one of the key tenets of Hermeticism is we are made in the image of God. But the taking of that is not this part: five fingers, a nose, a decent looking beard, hair that needs cut like 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago. That's not me. This is the form I currently have. The inner me, the not even my soul, my nous, my mind, me. That part's in the image of God. And so we don't need an avatar to come and speak to us. We need to be able to get back to where we're closer to our true selves and able to speak to God. That's the goal.
Amen. What about Eliphas Levi? I like Eliphas Levi. I don't have any issues with Eliphas or his teachings. He gave us the Baphomet, so he showed us what duality looks like from a Western esoteric perspective. So I mean, I don't have any issues with him or his teachings. I'm not a personal follower of him, but I don't have any problems with him.
And yeah, ecliptic. One of the things about Hermeticism is there's God, there's Source Monad, the like big creator of all. But in the act of creation, other smaller co-creators, demiurge, lesser gods, little g's, they also were created. Some readings of the texts, which are the ones I personally prescribe to, read as if these lesser gods took on different cultures of mankind to guide and protect them, and that is why we have cultural gods. It's not that Zeus and Thor don't exist or are the same archetype. They exist, they're real. They are just not the creator entity. They are there to guard and shepherd and teach their cultures. Um, and that's the phenomenon that we see throughout the world. And so other entities absolutely can have human avatars and interact with humanity more directly. But Big Source is more distant than that.
Essence energy distinction, baby. Sorry, Miss Abuz. No, the Kabbalion is not legit. I'm sorry. I am sorry. How does Hermetic magic compare to other forms of magic in other faiths? So technically, there is no Hermetic magic. You can use magic in the framework of Hermeticism, but there is no Hermetic magic. There's no type of magic that belongs specifically to Hermeticism. Now, there are rituals that are specific to Egypt or to Greece, but not to the Hermetic religion specifically. Um, so if you're able to maybe elaborate a bit more on what you mean, maybe I can provide a better answer. Um,
I will say, like,
but
strictly speaking, alchemy is a form of magic and would be
That is
qualified
true.
as a hermetic magic.
And
But we're
yes,
also
that is
looking
a
at
hermetic art.
it's been devoid of hermetic for so long that you could almost argue that it's also not a requirement. But if you were looking at the strictest, like specific ways that hermetics would practice magic, like a pure hermeticist that does not do any other systems, it'd be alchemy and astrology. And I idolatry is mentioned in a few places, but that is most likely more as a cultural practice than a hermetic specific one. And by idolatry, I do not mean, you know, praying to statues. I mean binding the essence of some deities into statues in which to interact, through which to interact with them.
Fetishism.
So what you're stating is crystalline structures retaining information isn't considered magic. I don't know what you're referencing, Deathpool, but off the cuff, no.
What did they say? Crystalline what?
Crystalline. What we're stating is crystalline structures retaining information isn't considered magic.
No, so are they talking about like crystals being able to
Uh,
contain like energies and stuff like that? No, that in itself is not magic. That's natural. That's a natural thing.
Specifically, for example, the use of obsidian to trap spiritual energy.
Yeah, no, that's not magical. That's a natural thing. That's a sympathy. We use that in magic, but that in and of itself is not magical.
Uh,
Thanks. The link doesn't work. And sim theory being a branch of deism sounds like Occam's razor. So a lot of people say that the link doesn't work. But when I try it on and I mean, I'm signed in on Discord from both my PC and my phone. So when I click on it on either, device, it works. Are you signed in on TikTok, on Discord from whatever device you're trying to use it on? How did you use magic to get your job? I simply did petitions. I would petition my ancestors pretty much every day. And from the moment that I started, it was 2 weeks from the moment that I started. And then my boss like just randomly hit me up one day and was like, "Hey, do you know anything about marketing?" And I thought she was asking because someone was asking her like a question about marketing. I didn't think it was for a job. I was like, "No, but I can look it up if you need something." And she was like, "Oh, no, no, there's a job opening. Some manager over there like sent out an email and was like, "Hey, is anybody interested in moving over to marketing?" Uh, Next thing you know, I get it. I beat out 18 other people, and I have no degree in marketing, zero experience in marketing, nothing. Um, so
um, and acolyptic. You have not been preachy at all. There is a complete difference between sharing your love and your passion for your faith and religion and using it as a like, oh, that's interesting that you believe that. I believe this. It's cool how they have these like little differences, but also similarities. That is more than welcome here. More than like, please continue to do that. It is when people come, well, my religion believes this, and obviously yours is wrong. Um, that is where it becomes a problem.
exactly. If Alexa keeps giving me the same commercial, I'm sacrificing her to Baal. Use the sacred bat. Take the sacred bat to her head, and I think that'll solve all
You're
problems.
joking, but I'm actually getting close to pulling all the Alexas out of my house. Used to be with Amazon Music, you could say play one song and it would give you the song you asked for. Now it generates a playlist of similar songs,
Yeah,
which are very rarely even in the same genre.
yeah.
If you have an album that you purchased from Amazon Music, it still does that.
So if you go like play Thriller by Michael Jackson, it might play one song by Michael Jackson, but then the next song will be like Prince or something.
It, it's like you created a Pandora station for it.
I remember, oh my, you just unlocked a memory. Oh my
Yep.
God. Those
And
days, man.
which
Pandora.
that was bad enough, but then like I don't know what has happened, but the ability for me to understand me and my family, it's just gone downhill. It very rarely gets us on the first command. But then the real nail in the coffin is like a week and a half ago. No, about 2 weeks ago. It started this weird glitch. It doesn't do it every day, but occasionally it will only play my alarm for like a split second, first few notes, and then turn it off.
Mhm. What?
And the first couple of times, it would play it again 15 minutes later as if I'd snoozed it without snoozing it, but now it just doesn't play it again at all.
That's
So I had a
that's
couple of
weird.
appointments I was late to this week because my alarm didn't go off on my Alexa. So I'm like, if it doesn't do anything, I'm just going to get a different personal assistant.
Yeah, yeah. I I feel you. I only know one person with Alexa, like all throughout their home. Um, but it seems to work fine for them. Sometimes there are times when it doesn't really hear you. What? I didn't get that, or something like that. But the
All
Kabbalion was
right.
written by the greatest deceiver in history, Toth. Well, the Kabbalion was not written by Toth. It was definitely written by a deceiver, but that deceiver was wholly human. His name was William Walker Atkinson.
Like the
Toth did not
layers
write
of wrong
the
there.
Kabbalion.
Like, and Atkinson isn't even like the greatest deceiver.
Or are
Like
you
he's just,
sure? No, I'm kidding.
well, yeah, I mean, he was fairly obvious about it.
That's actually quite true. That's actually quite
All
true.
right, so I got a couple of good ones. Twink Persecutor was wondering advice for spirituals that struggle with ADHD and retaining habits, etc. Yeah, I liked it too. Um,
That's a crazy
as
name.
someone who struggles with as someone who struggles with ADHD, I feel this pain. TP, I'm just gonna call you TP for everyone's sanity. Um, it's it's a struggle. The hardest thing for me to learn at first was meditation, but then I got into mindful meditation, which is instead of clearing your mind because that is physically impossible, it's more of giving it permission to roam and giving it instructions on how to roam so that you can still get constructive use of that time and game changer for it. Um, as for the habits and such, it is the pain of ADHD that the thing you most need to mitigate it is the habit. Actually, having a structured routine of what you do is the number one thing that you need to manage ADHD. It is also the one thing you are the absolute worst at. Um, and I wish I had better advice for you. That is something I still struggle with. I am trying to get better about it, but it is a major struggle. If you find any good tips on it, please share.
Toth descended from the Anu Elohim. I think you're mixing cultures and religions here. The Anu Elohim have nothing to do with Toth. That would be like me saying the great Bishamonten, which is a Japanese war deity, descended from Quetzalcoatl. That makes no sense. That would not make any kind of sense. Toth and
Also,
the Anu Elohim have nothing to do with each other.
also, please, Hermes does not need any more alternate names. We do not need to keep this daisy chain of telephoning him into existence.
Similar to the Gnostics, yes, we are similar to them. We are different in a lot of ways, but yes, we do hold a lot of similarities. We are, as Alchemic likes to say, we are kissing cousins. Not us, we don't kiss, but the Hermeticism and Gnosticism. Excuse me.
And Russell, I apologize. I did not skip your question. It was actually about to be asked, but thank you for being patient and repeating it. What did you mean earlier by petitioning your ancestors?
Through uh, exactly what it sounds like. Through asking them. What I do, I have a bunch of hell notes right here. I've got a bunch of hell notes right here. I got 700 pieces in here, and I write my petitions on here, and then I burn them in my little cauldron here with the ashes that are burnt up. So I invoke my ancestors, and then I write my petitions on the hell notes, which also act as an offering. So I kind of kill two birds with one stone. I don't have to do two separate burnings. And I just ask them for stuff, and if they come through, I give them alcohol. I can't show that on here, but I have rum in my drawer down here at the bottom of my altar. I feed them alcohol if they come through with whatever I ask for. So, I mean, there's a whole thing to it. There's a whole actual ritual. I'm dumbing it down a lot, but at the end of the day, I'm asking them for something by writing it down on the hell note, burning the hell note, and then if it comes through, I give them alcohol, specifically spiced rum, Captain Morgan. So, right?
Russell says thank you.
Yes, Captain Morgan. And you're welcome.
Um, Magi Chamber wants to ask our thoughts on Franz Barden. So we mentioned this earlier, but I'll just do the quick recap. Franz Barden is absolutely fine. He's neo-hermetic, whereas both Mystic and I tend to prefer more classical hermeticism, but that is preference, not our way is right, his is wrong. It's purely a use a system that works for you. The one thing to watch out for with Barden is I know a lot of people that started his initiation system. I know zero people who have completed it. It is an absolutely massive undertaking to the point that completing it is, or believing you're going to be the one to complete it is almost meme at this point. That said, it is a
Yeah.
beautiful system. It is an awesome take on neo Hermeticism. And if that is what works for you, I wish you all the best.
So for some help for people who might be interested in getting involved in anything with Barden, a good starter book might be this right here, Back Door into Hermet. The title is a bit of a misnomer. It should say Backdoor into Bardonian Hermetics or something like that, because that's exactly what it is. Don't let the title fool you. This entire book is on Barden system. You don't know that unless you read the back of the book. So if you just got it off the title, like if you were just at the bookstore and you saw this book and you bought it off the title, you'd probably be disappointed. But if you have an interest in Barden, Mark Ramis and Jake Sen wrote Backdoor into Hermetics, which is pretty good. I'm about 30% of the way through it. Haven't really found any issues with it.
We have
So
been doing these lives for damn near a solid year, and I still cannot avoid laughing when that book comes up. At this point, I think it's Pavlovian.
B
So,
Quicks has a question for you, since
okay.
I wasn't able to answer this one before. Could simulation theory also be viewed as a new age variation of how people interpret the spirit realm?
So,
And thanks for the likes, guys.
simulation theory is, in my opinion, different two different things that happen in tandem. The first is, and not everyone's going to agree with this. This is not a universal take. This is my personal opinion. The original simulation theory wasn't a theory. It was a hypothesis or a thinking exercise by a philosopher, which states if our universe, or if we became technologically advanced enough, we would create a simulation capable of replicating our universe in order to study it. If technology is possible, what are the mathematical odds that we are the first to have done it? And if we're not the first, therefore we are a simulation. It's
Yeah.
just a thought exercise. It's like Schrodinger's cat. No cats were actually being locked in boxes. It was just a way to think the concept. The modern
Yep.
world has become very devoid of spirituality. And whether you're anti-theist or not, I personally think that is for the worse. I think a loss of dogma is good, but a loss of connection to divinity isn't in itself a negative. And people look for those kinds of understandings and connections and things that they can rationalize and understand. While simulation theory may not look like belief in a creator, it is an atheistic concept of a created universe. By all definitions that we would use to define a theistic entity, the programmer who made the simulation would still be a deity. He would still be the creator. The code would still be a divine act to us. And so, in that, you get a way to be theistic without being condescended to by atheists because it's scientifically sound. So, to me, that's all simulation theory is a way to be theistic with more steps involved in order to avoid the ridicule of atheists.
I like it. I like it. And sorry, guys, for anybody who's asking questions, I'm 60 questions behind now. So I apologize if I'm not getting to your question quick enough. Just be patient and we will get there. What is the most important lesson, tool, or philosophy you've gotten from your Hermetic journey? That we don't have anything to be saved from. That the way back to God, we have to find it ourselves, and we find that through well, I mix mine with occultism. So for me, it would be ritual ascent through the spheres, and I'd say probably the other a tool, I guess you could say. Well, it didn't start out as a tool. It first started out as a lesson, and then I turned it into a tool. Is the focus on like ecstatic prayer or focused prayer or charged prayer or whatever you want to call it? We believe in the essence and the energy distinction. So God is distant. He's so far distant. And most prayers that people do are not heard. However, if you know how to get into an altered state and do ecstatic prayer or focus prayer or charge prayer, this is when the spirits can start to hear you without any sort of magic needing to be done or anything like that. So learning about ecstatic prayer was definitely a boon during my journey into Hermeticism. So
For me, and it seems so silly, but it's the simple message of, the creator, monad source, loves me. Period, full stop, not under these terms and conditions, not if I do this. The love is the default and it is genuinely unconditional.
hmm
Everything else is just about learning to better accept and experience that love. And knowing that my prayers to deity are never an inconvenience. They're never well, I hate to bother someone as massive as you because you're so busy. They are welcomed and desired because that
hmm
relationship is wanted on both ends. That has brought, for me, in my life, so much peace and comfort. Um, and Apocalyptic says that he may be, or they may be seen as discriminatory for this, but they will never support atheists or anti-theists. I won't not support someone who is atheist because there's a belief. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not going to be like angry with you for it. I catch beef with anti-theists fairly often because they tend to make incredibly blanket statements that don't even hold up to even their own levels of scrutiny.
I agree. I deal with the same people, man. Do either of you listen to Tool or A Perfect Circle? If so, are the lyrics revered as metaphysical canon? I don't listen to Tool or A Perfect Circle. I don't. I think I've heard of Tool, but I've never heard of A Perfect Circle. So, no.
No. I mean, I listen to both. I would not consider either one to be any kind of a cult canon. I mean, I'm not 100% on Tool, but I am like 90% on Perfect Circle are hilariously based on our previous topic, anti-theistic. They would rather a world with no religion. So I would not consider them any kind of like they are spiritually helpful in the way that metal music has been shown to connect you to your inner emotions better than almost any other musical form. But I would not count
Really?
those. Oh yeah, like if you've ever noticed, metalheads are always the most chilled people. They're always the ones that are the most like in general polite and giving to others. If you've ever been in a mosh pit and someone falls in a mosh pit, the biggest metalheads are the ones that will full force form a shield guard around those people to help them get back up.
You know what? Maybe you're right. I've never been to like a mosh pit, but I hang out with a lot of people who are into that kind of stuff. And like whenever we're at their events, like at like oh, I was about to say the name of the place, not to dox myself, but whenever we're at like events like that, um, everyone is always so awesome. Everyone's always so cool. Never got into a fight. Never had an argument. Even if someone steps on my shoes or checks me, sorry, bro. Didn't even say that. I'm drinking all this, blah blah blah. And I'm like, holy crap! Why is everyone so nice here? Like, what?
Yep.
Like, why are you guys so awesome? But
Metal music in general has been shown to be incredibly cathartic. It is great for getting in touch
wow.
with your emotions. If you ever listen to the lyrics, they really are all just singing a bunch of sappy songs to make each other feel bad. Like I'm a huge metalhead. That's what it's for. It's supposed to get you in
They
touch with
just
those
scream it
inner
at you.
emotions.
They just yell it at you. Their feelings. Wah!
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
And
my. All right.
so
You
for
must be upset.
for that purpose, absolutely, there is there. I will also say that because of the countries that metal tends to come from, it tends to have more atheistic overtones. So there are, or anger with deity when it does come up. So I would not count it as spiritual lessons, except for helping you get in connection with those inner monologues that you need to have in connection with for spirituality. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Does that make sense to you, B Quicks? Corporate Hermeticist says, I'd actually recommend Barden for beginners. I don't think magic should be easy. It shouldn't be easy, but that's something else, man. Barden is on his own. Barden's on his own island over there by himself.
High Truth Pipeline, the City of the Moon, Odod, the City of the Saturn, Sun, Saturn, Enod. Yeah, I need context for what you're trying to say there because that doesn't track. Corporate Hermeticist does make a valid or a great topic though. Anti-theists are just reverse evangelical Christians. So, my wife said this, and again, many of her prophetic statements I've mentioned before. Um, if you are deconstructing from fundamentalist Christianity and you think that all religions are the same, you have not finished deconstructing. Keep going. And I have
Yep.
found that is very much a universal truth because the more you study the differences in faiths and religions around the world, the more you begin to understand how unique evangelical Christianity is in the
Mm-hmm.
worst way. And if you guys will notice, I am using a very specific phrasing: fundamentalist or evangelical Christianity. I'm not saying Christianity. Christianity as itself is fine. It is those modern interpretations that have been used as weapons that I begin to take issue with.
I love it. We live in a 15-dimensional time matrix with 5 harmonic universes rotating on different angles of particle spin. Interesting. Where'd you get this information? What's your source on this, JJ?
Russell, I am a Freemason. Mystical Rebel is not a Mason.
I'm not. Nope. Brother Hummingbird says, I find Barden's system incomplete, but I can't say anything because I like the Arbitel. Well, hey, wait a minute. I like the Arbitel. What's wrong with the Arbitel? Is it too pious? Is it too holy? Do you not like waking up at 5 a.m. to say your prayers?
The sons of Jupiter birthed from the Ogdad, Amun, Noon, and Kuk. I mean, Kook. I'm assuming it's not. Yeah, again, Pipeline. I don't know if it's the 150 character limit, but nothing in that is involved in any shape, form, or fashion with Hermeticism.
James Bond asks, which framework yields stronger magic? Well, first let me say I'm going to need the Broccoli family who owns the rights to James Bond to get on picking a new James Bond. Like we get it. Like Daniel Craig's too. Okay, we understand. He doesn't want to be it no more. We need a new James Bond. So James Bond. We already got a Superman. We know who Superman is. Can we get James Bond on the track list
I,
for like
I heard someone was saying Cavill.
Henry Cavill? No. He's got other they want someone who can be James Bond for at least 10 years. So they
Uh,
want someone young. I mean, not that Henry's not young. They want someone younger. So but anyway, to your question, which framework yields stronger magic? That's up to the practitioner. It's more up to the practitioner. Now, I do have my own beliefs on what systems of magic are more powerful than others. But excluding that, it would be up to the practitioner, right? You could have someone who is, sucks completely at magic, and so their magic in whatever framework would be trash. And then there's someone who's pretty good at it, and so their magic in whatever framework would be pretty good. So it just depends on the practitioner.
um, Corporate Hermeticism talks about, they hate the condescending, prove magic is real, and they just stare at them and say no. I mean, that's pretty much my take is no. Like, at this point in time, as we have access to the Library of Congress, the Embassy of the Talking Heads, sacred texts, there is so much easy ways that you can get actual understandings of what magic is, what it really does, how it actually works. You are choosing not to view those. That's fine. If
Hmm.
that is the path you want to walk, if you just want to live the mundane life and you don't have any interest in occultism, that is fine. But it is not my job to give you the evidence to it when, as Rebel said, it's experiential. Like experiential. You have to experience it. If you haven't experienced it, or you have and you chose to like push that experience aside, I have nothing for you. I have no interest in pushing it. Like I have no interest in proving it because it does not change anyone's fate if I convince you magic is real. If I convince you to convert to Hermeticism, that doesn't change anyone's fate.
Yeah.
So you should be on your path, not mine.
Amen. I like that. I like that. Twink person. That's a crazy day. Have y'all listened to the podcast Know Thyself? No, I've not. I've not heard of that. I'm not sure if you have, Alchemic, but I've not heard of Know Thyself as a podcast.
It rings a bell, but I am like the world's worst for podcasts. I can't. I keep trying. I just cannot get into them. I want to.
Yeah,
There's
I
so
I tend
many
to stick
things
with
out
the
there.
same few that I listen to, unless I come across one that's like amazing. Other than that, I tend to stick with the same few that I listen to.
I apologize. I got to do a couple of two fast ones, and then I will
Yeah.
we'll get one that I think you'll really enjoy. Russell says he's also a Freemason. Welcome, brother. Always welcome. Um, again, we're talking about the Hermetics tonight, not Masonry. Just I like to disambiguate that. This is my personal faith, not representative of Masonry, because as you well know, every Mason has their own faith and practice. So this just
Thank you
happens
for
to
the
be
gift.
Truth Pipeline, let's just agree to disagree that Hermes was Hiram Abiff. I've never seen any evidence that even remotely would point towards that. But
Yeah,
if
that's
it
weird.
helps you to link Hermes to another name, go wild. Um, and now the fun one might be a weird question, but I got Apocalyptic wants to know what would a public hermetic temple look like?
Well, I know what mine would look like. I don't know what a. I feel like if we go back in history, it would just be a group of people debating with each other. It would be like a philosophers sort of a forum or something like that. Yeah, but in modern day, I know what mine would look like if I had $1 billion to build something. I know what mine would look like, but I don't know. I guess it would look like any other Americanized type of church.
I think I think if you did it like an Americanized temple or church, you would not be building anything hermetic. I think
Yeah.
the two things that you would need is one, the actual like what you have suggested before, the way yours would look like, where you had different spaces dedicated to like different religions could practice there. I think that that would actually be required because very rarely is a hermeticist just a hermeticist.
Right.
The vast majority of hermetics practice it in addition to a different faith. So
Hmm.
having people who could go to those different branches and have a place to worship under the greater umbrella of the community of hermeticism. And also, I think you would need a honking huge library.
That's that's in the plans. That's in the plans. Huge, huge library. Huge library. But you can't take any of the books out. You can't leave with any of the books. I'm sorry. They have to stay with me. You can read it right here, and there will be a chain attached to every book. No, I'm kidding. The monad is a 3D scalar grid that houses the oversoul in 7D, 8D, 9D, which exists as a fixed pattern of tonal vibration within the God seed. Sounds
I am
like you just went to newagebullshitgenerator.com and hit reionize
Yep.
atoms and then just copied and
Reioninize.
pasted.
Reioninize the atoms.
Yeah, and then you just copied and pasted whatever it said. That's what that
So
sounds like.
I you made a small. It was incorrect. The only thing that's rubbing me the wrong way is you said the monad is this. So understand when I use the term monad, I am not giving that as a title to the creator. I am not giving that as a name. That is a philosophical concept used to familiarize the concept of the creator. So in this instance, you would probably rather use something like source or creator using monad and then using the definition that you gave is completely contradictory to themselves. Just as the philosophical concept, it is contradictory. Mad Hatter, we're not talking about any games. We're talking about our personal faith, the Hermeticism. I'll let Truth Pipeline and Hummingbird have at it for a minute.
Can you do a video tutorial on how to do the ritual with your ancestors? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a simple petition ritual, nothing special. I promise you, it'll resemble any other petition that you can find. But yeah, sure. And
Do we have
I'm
any?
going to do some skipping up here, guys. I'm 95 questions behind. So I'm going to skip up a little bit here. So if I skip your question, please do ask it again. I'm going to skip up to like 20. So
Do we have any good books suggestions concerning Hermeticism or perhaps Neoplatonism as they relate? I don't know if I have any that compare and contrast the two. I know that Plotinus wrote some hate mail to the Gnostics, a lot of which would apply to the Hermetics as well. Purportedly,
you
he
suck.
also wrote
Send.
them to Hermetics, but I don't have those letters handy. But if you're already familiar with Neoplatonics, you could probably just read the Corpus Hermetica. My personal favorite translation is Hermes by Salomon. That translation it is the core text of the teachings. Reading through that and then comparing with an understanding of Neoplatonics is probably pretty close to what you're looking for. And Mad Hatter, no, this is not Christian versus pagan. This is not versus anything at all. This is simply our religion. Technically, it's pagan, but at this point in time, pagan has become a word that is so ambiguous in what it covers that it's almost become meaningless. Like 10 years ago when you used it, it kind of mattered because the number of non-Christian Muslim or Jewish religions that were being practiced on a widespread basis meant that there was usually some level of community and connectivity there. At this point, with it having become so much of it, with like Norse reconstruction, Wicca growing so much faster, other religions like Hermeticism and Hellenistic worship, Hermeticism, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
There you go. And to piggyback off the question about the books, I would also recommend after you're done with the corpus to pick up a copy of Hermetica 2, which we were going to be reading from this evening. Also, a copy of The Secret History of Hermes Trismegistus. Excuse me, that's really, really good. Theurgy or the Hermetic Practice is really good by E.J. Garston Langsford or E.J. Langsford Garston, something like that. And Stephen Flowers, PhD, Hermetic Magic are probably some excellent, excellent texts you want to take a look at. What's up, Jeremy? Welcome, welcome. Someone told me I'm Toth and told another person, oh, and another person told me I wrote the Bible. All right, well, they lied to you. The Bible was not written by one person, it was written by many people. Some people lived in the same time, like the same time period. So even if they're trying to tell you, oh, you did it through reincarnation over all these, there a lot of the people who wrote especially the New Testament were alive at the same time. So there's no way that you could have been jumping from body to body while all these people were alive. So um, they lied to you. And also, you're not Toth. No one on earth is a deity. So
If you are Thoth, I would love to know how you are both walking around as a physical body and also answering my prayers. That would be kind of cool feat.
because I am God.
Yeah, truth. Sorry, buddy. Literally none of that works. Thoth is not Saturn, or any of those other things. That's yeah. Anyway, Apocalyptic actually asks an interesting question that is trying to get me banned from TikTok. Um, do you think the Abrahamic religions will ever lose power and be took over by another faith and lose their monopoly on the world?
Oh yeah, eventually.
So we have to be careful when we say Abrahamic religions. Like I know what you're trying to infer, but and this blows a lot of people away. Jewish people only make up like 1.3% of the population.
That is true, and they don't care about total domination.
They don't even
So
they don't even like they actively when you try to convert to Judaism, will try to talk you out of it.
yeah, they don't like that. It's just the other two guys. Those other two guys, they're all out there trying to kill people and convert people.
But do
The
I
Jews don't
think
care.
that those organizations will lose their power? Yes, I mean we've seen it happening greater and greater numbers over time. Whether you want to believe that's because of the turning of the ages, where we've gone from the Pisces to the Aquarius, and so we've gone from large dogmatic institution to more insular personal ages, or you just think it's the natural passage of time that everything changes. That's going to be up to individuals, but I do think that centralized power structures like that are going to have a harder time maintaining that control. And the ideas, what I don't think is that they're going to be overtaken by another faith. What I think you're going to see is more of a historical practice where, culturally speaking, different cultures and peoples will have their specific faiths and their practices, and they'll intermingle and mix and evolve with each other, but there won't be one master key that's spread across three continents.
Mm-mm. I love you guys. Well, thank you, Confusion. We love you. Where did you read that? Where did I read what, X? Read what?
And so, on that note, guys, when you say things like that, bear in mind that when we speak, it's I think we figured out like a 30 to 45-second delay before it actually comes through the connection. And then when you type a response, if we've continued on, it could have been 3-4 minutes since you asked that question to the topic. So we just may not know what the reference was.
Yeah. Know Thyself says, have either of you gentlemen ever read The Hermetic Link? I've never even heard of that. The Hermetic Link? Let me look this up.
Is that the DNA one?
The DNA one. Go to Amazon, The Hermetic Link. The Hermetic Link, From Secret Tradition to Modern Thought.
I have not read that one, and I don't want to add another to my my backlog.
Hmm. Okay. Um, it seems valid. I mean, it mentions a lot of other Renaissance and medieval authors that were influenced by Hermeticism. Um, Giordano Bruno, Ficino, but
It looks like he primarily writes on Hermetic tradition and Gnostic teaching. So yeah, I would say he's probably. I may not agree with all of his takes, but he's at least versed in the subject enough to have takes worth reading.
yeah. Sorry, I'm just like reading through all the yeah. It seems to be pretty good. I mean, it only has 9 reviews, so that's not that great. If it came out in 2012, I'd expect hundreds, if not thousands, by now. But that I mean, that's not a thing. So yeah, I
But it
mean, I
might
haven't
also
read
be
it, of
like,
course, but it doesn't seem to be any any problems with it.
wonder if it's to do with like translations and such.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been listening to an audiobook of the Corpus Hermeticism, or the Corpus Hermeticism, the Corpus Hermeticum. I still have a hard time grasping a lot of it. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we can do our best to maybe shed some light or elaborate on some things. But that's why whenever someone asks about like the corpus, I always say to get the corpus, that's fine, but also get a commentary. So that way you can kind of get a feel for what's being talked about and, someone can kind of explain it in more mundane terms. Don't just rely on the corpus. Um,
And on that note, like that's what these are for. This reading. That's why we do this.
yes.
Like Rebel can go back. He can find our old like first messages. But my entire thing was this book is amazing, but there's so much going on. I do not think it is meant to be read or listened to and then just that's it. I think it
Yeah.
needs the discussion. Like the Hellenistic period, they had those forums where you could go and just sit and talk about stuff. I think we need that. And so the entire concept of these Wednesday nights is a Hermetic forum to bring those discussions and talks up. We read the text and then we discuss what we thought about it. We don't always agree, but we deepen our own understandings of it.
Yes. Amen.
So please
So
do not feel like you are in any shape, form, or fashion like not smart enough just because you didn't get it. If you could get it from just reading it, we'd all be out of our bodies on our way back to God already.
he said it's he said it's like learning Chinese. It's like learning Chinese. 你会说中文吗? It's a 中文. 你爸爸妈妈好吗? What is your opinion on Frater Albertus? I've heard of that name before, but it doesn't. I'm not. Hold on. I've heard of that name before. Frater Albertus.
Oh, Alchemist Handbook. Absolutely high recommendation. Like I was like, wait, is that is Alchemist Handbook, right? That is the one. So I just double checked myself. 100% recommend. If you were at all interested in alchemy,
There you go.
the only thing I would say is I might recommend the Golden Chain of Homer first, purely because having that philosophical background will help you. And Frater Albus, or they're basically going to try and get you in on like practicing with actual equipment faster. That's not always necessarily the best idea, but other than that, top recommendation.
Yeah, I didn't. I've heard that name, but I've never read or really looked into any of his work. But I know I've seen the name.
So there's
Um,
this trend in more modern works of like calling like, oh, this is the witch's Bible, or this is the occultist's handbook, and like trying to pretend you're this all-encompassing text because you just want to sell it like that.
right.
This is like the exception to the people pulling that, where the book actually is that. The Alchemist's Handbook is actually the Alchemist's Handbook. Like, if you're practicing alchemist, this should be on your bookshelf.
There you go. Let's see. What is Hermeticism? We've probably answered that like 4 times this evening. It is a it's a Greco-Egyptian philosophy, but there's a word for that. Philosophio religio or something like that. It's like a religion and a philosophy, probably more so philosophy since it's unorganized. That marries Egyptian religion through Greek thought. Um, and there's a lot of Christian influences, a lot of Neoplatonic influences, a lot of Gnostic influences on it. And it's not really dogmatic in many respects that people are used to. Um, it's hard to compare it to a modern day religion because most modern day religions are organized. So there's some sort of institution that you could point to. Like I could say, like the Lutherans or like the Presbyterians, right? There's some sort of institution that you could point to, but there isn't with Hermeticism. So it's kind of hard to give you a comparison to something modern day that you would know.
And a small edge, truth pipeline. No, that is not what gaslighting is. The proper term for that would be straw manning your argument. Um, which even that's not necessarily fair because it's not necessarily a weak argument. It's just he's mocking your argument. He is not trying to convince you that your perceivable reality is false and in order to form a dependence on him. That's not what gaslighting means.
He's talking about me.
No. Argument in my chat with Hummingbird.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Pipeline is trying to convince others that he is well versed in esotericism and therefore is not wildly and hysterically incorrect in his theory that everything is just Saturn. And all religions are worshiping Saturn. And currently arguing that the world is in fact flat. And when Hummingbird noted that and I didn't see the full line, but used some version of "If the world were flat, why have cats not knocked everything off the edge?" Um, Truth Pipeline asserted that that was him being gaslit.
Are sleep hypnosis videos with affirmations you listen to while you sleep real? Because it worked for me. I mean, they're real because you can do it, yeah. But I mean, does it work? I've never tried anything like that, and I don't really know anybody who does. But if it worked for you, great. Then that's all that matters.
And
But I don't know if there's any
Acolyptic,
like legitimate occult anything behind that. But
and I would say it's a cult. There's definitely a psychological basis to it, but it wouldn't be an occult thing.
yeah,
And Acolyptic wants to know why you always say Gnostic.
what else would it be?
Gnostic.
No, I say Gnostic until the day I die.
But
I'm
that's
kidding. Yeah,
fine.
I
I'm
don't
just
I don't
saying
know.
that
That's just how I
that
pronounce it.
is
I
the
don't know.
alternative pronunciation.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just how I say it. Gnostic. It sounds better. Okay. It sounds more poetic. Gnostic. I don't know. That's just how I learned to say. I don't know. Can you invoke angels? Yes. Thoth is not Saturn. Yeah, I don't know why that person said that. I don't. I don't. I don't. If Thoth would be associated with any planet, it would be Mercury,
The
not
moon.
Saturn.
Thoth is the god of the
So
moon.
I'm sorry.
Thoth was moon.
Sorry. Well, yeah, I'm thinking of Thoth in his wisdom aspect.
Ah, yes.
But yes, he was a moon deity. Yes, he was a moon god. Uh, the symbol Saturn does contain libraries lead, paper money, mirror, venom. I don't know what that means. It contains libraries lead, paper money, mirror, venom. What's that mean? I don't know what
That's
that
not
means.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think that's a Lord song.
Lord, as in we'll never be royals.
Paper
Oh.
money, mirror venom.
I don't know. I don't know the lyrics to that song other than that part right there. When they royals. That's all I know.
Guys, stop picking on Truth Pipeline by bringing up the gaslighting thing.
Have you guys played that game Only Up? Um, no, but I've seen people on TikTok play it. But I love the song by Martin Garrix and Tiesto called "The Only Way Is Up." But no, but I have seen people playing it. And I'm always like, what is this game? And then I go on Steam and I see it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, I don't play. I'm not interested in games like that. I like
I
different types of games. So
I cannot play video games. I could not be trusted with them. I started prioritizing them too highly.
yeah, I tend to pretty much stick to open world games like Grand Theft Auto, Skyrim, Fallout, stuff like that. Every now and then I'll hop on like a Fortnite or Overwatch or something, but for the most part I like open world. I like doing whatever I want. I don't want to follow the rules. I don't want to complete the game in this amount of time. I want to do what I want to do. I paid $60 for this game, so let me do whatever the hell I want to do. I don't want to do what you want me to do, game designer. I want to do what I want to do because I paid money. So I like open world games because they let me do what I want to do. I don't gotta listen to nobody. I don't gotta follow no rules. I just do what I want. If I want to sit there and cook steak over the fire for 5 hours, then that's what I'm going to do because I
So
paid sixty
Minecraft is your
dollars.
favorite game ever.
I'm sorry.
So Minecraft is your favorite game ever.
No. Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto. I love blowing up people, killing people, shooting people. Well, I probably shouldn't have said that. I should not have
No,
said that.
are you just trying to get us both banned?
If I get cut out, that's why. Shouldn't have said that.
So
Should not have said that.
Corporate Hermetist says, as an alchemist, what is my opinion on FMA? Absolutely phenomenal. Prior to becoming an alchemist, it was my absolute favorite anime. I really, really, really want them to take a minute and like do the original series up to the fifth lab and then cut it, and then put the new series and cut off everything before the fifth lab and combine them so that Brotherhood and the original are the one cohesive storyline. I really, really want someone to like make that so I don't have to like try and make it all work. That said, alchemically, well, obviously it changes a lot of things, like the making of the circles, which there's no circles in alchemy really. Um, a lot of the symbolism they use, like the green lion eating the sun, the concept of the homunculus and how to create a lot of its actual symbolism from actual alchemy. The writer did an amazing job of studying. No spoilers for anyone, but if you watch Brotherhood, there's a scene where the dwarf is talking and he talks about, "Ooh, should we call you Aurelius von Bastus, Paracelsius?" And like list off that huge long name. All of that name is actually Paracelsius's legitimate name. It was something Bombastus Paraelius von Hohenheim was his actual name. And so von Hohenheim is actually a reference to a genuine concept in her actual alchemy. His full name was Philippus Aurelius Theophastus Bombastus. That was one of the names the dwarf recommended. His last name was von Hohenheim, which is what he actually went with.
Sounds like a German DJ. Sounds like he's a German EDM DJ who's going to open, I don't know, Hakkasan in Las Vegas over the summer for a residency for $20 million.
So 100%, there's a lot of little things like that throughout it, a lot of cool concepts. It's definitely, again, it's not genuine alchemy, but it's so much of what they do are Easter eggs, and its depiction of God is in some ways relevant to Hermetic alchemy. There's actually a YouTube series on an alchemist watches Full Metal Alchemist and compares it. Does an amazing job of breaking it down.
Wow. So, if I remember correctly, the concept of nous is a key concept in both Hermeticism as well as Neoplatonism. Can you share your perspectives on what nous is? Yeah, mind. Nous is the mind, the all pervasive mind, the immanent, not eminent, the immanent mind, the mind of God. Uh, yeah, that's how I see it.
You can
I don't
almost
know
look
if you
at
want
it
to add
as like
anything.
the fingerprint. It's the part of us that is made in the image of deity, that is representative of deity, and allows us to connect to deity.
There you go, confusion. What are some ways in which Hermeticism and Kabbalah are similar? Um, we both offer ways back. So we both offer a map of the soul. We both
Um,
offer.
Small trick there is Kabbalah is a specific practice within a Judaism. So it's like
That's true. Yeah, that's
you
true.
can compare it via like alchemy. How does alchemy and Kabbalah compare? Or astrology and Kabbalah? But saying Hermeticism would be closer to saying how does it versus Judaism.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, we both offer a map of the soul. We both offer a way back to God. And that's probably. I mean, we share similar concepts about God, but other than that, that's probably where the similarities end. Um, Kabbalah is wholly its own thing.
Now, I would say like alchemy and Kabbalah have a lot in common to the point one of the biggest hurdles I have found in trying to recommend an alchemy book is finding one that doesn't just intermingle Kabbalah into it like it is the same thing. But that is because Kabbalah and alchemy are both using a mystical practice to understand the world around us. And in that view, they're both trying to explain the same thing. They're going to have extremely strong similarities.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And when we are aware, it's when we are in control. Whoa. They all feed the. My former alchemy mentor was taught by a woman who was taught by Frater Albertus. That's my lineage. Interesting, Jeremy Crow. Very interesting. I didn't know that
That
there
would be
was lineages within alchemy.
yes. That would be tight though, because 1540 or 1500s, there'd need to be a couple more gaps in there.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. But yeah, he says my former alchemy mentor was taught by a woman who was taught by Frater Albertus.
That'd be a massive timeline jump.
Maybe
Oh,
they're time traveling.
I'm sorry. Frater Albertus, yes, 100%. That is valid. That is real. My brain was translating it back to Paracelsus.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
Okay.
I got to push X to doubt that your teacher was taught by Paracelsus. Like, I'm all for Paracelsus did a Philosopher's Stone, but probably would not have still been using that. Frater Albert absolutely was a phenomenal teacher. In fact, his students are the ones that started the RAMS project.
Really?
Yep, they are actually from his students who were like, hey, he has this amazing library, but they're in like 100 languages. This is not something that the grand people can study. We should begin translation and digitization.
Is this guy like still alive?
Fred Operatus? No, I believe he passed away.
Oh yeah, he died like 30 years ago. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I remember he's a contemporary, but yeah, this is why it went from I'm doubtful to yes, that's actually very very likely, like 100% possible.
Oh wow,
Um,
he wrote quite a few books.
yep. XJW. It depends on if we're talking about Christian Kabbalah or Jewish Kabbalah. There's only Jewish Kabbalah. Um, there is a habit in certain denominations of Christianity to go in and just take whatever they desire from other cultures. Kabbalah is a closed practice that is specifically like when I talk about Kabbalah, it is specifically based on the Jewish texts, the Tanakh. Without the Tanakh, you're not practicing Kabbalah. You're practicing another form of mysticism that might be based on it, but it's not the same thing. It's like when you take words and you break them down into numbers and use those numbers to find correlations, that's just numerology. When you do it specifically with the Tanakh, that's gematria. And Corporate Hermetist, you were talking about wanting to do an FMA alchemy series. You should still do it. The one that I was talking about was only 3 episodes long. I think you could go way, way deeper into it on a longer series, and I would absolutely love it if you did that. Catching up. Do I think the Golden Dawn would be considered Hermetic or Neo Hermetic? Neither. And Hummingbird is more familiar with the Golden Dawn than I am, but from my understandings of it, nothing against the Golden Dawn. The Hermetic part of it was more organizational than it was in the actual systems they were using for magic and teaching.
Yeah, I'd say they're more modernist Kabbalah than Hermetic. They follow a more Christianized version of Kabbalah.
So Acolyptic is amused by my X to doubt uh, comment. If you're in the Mystic Rebels server and you notice that there is a skeptic tag you can get, the actual emoji for the skeptic tag is the X to doubt guy.
So, what are some ways we can apply the teachings of the Corpus Hermeticum to ritual work? Um, I don't think you would be. There's no ritual instruction or anything like that. It's philosophical. So you wouldn't be able to insert anything from the corpus into your ritual unless you're like adding in invocations to address, God or appointments or Pat or something like that. You wouldn't. Other than that, there wouldn't be any kind of ritualism to be used from the corpus. Um, that's why earlier when someone asked about hermetic magic, I said there really isn't any hermetic magic. It's magic done within a hermetic framework. So
Let's see.
people half day sleeping and half conscious. So the more conscious we wake up, breathe, the more we transform this planet. Very interesting. Oh, this one you might be able to answer, Alchemic, because I don't know. Are there any Hermetic books written in Greek? I'm Greek and I don't know English that good, or I don't know that good English. Uh, you're Greek? I want to ask a question, but I don't know if it's inappropriate, so never mind.
So yes, but I don't think you mean that Greek. So give me just a second to see. Most of the texts we have are in ancient Greek. So technically, yes, but I don't think you're wanting to read ancient Greek. I think you're looking for actual modern Greek. In which case, I am sure that there are.
So I've always wondered this about other languages, right? So you know how like in English we have Old English, right? And even though we don't speak Old English, if we watch a movie or a TV show that is done in Old English, even though we don't speak it, we understand what they're talking about. We get, the word play and all that, even though we don't talk like that anymore. If someone like he's asking is Greek and he speaks modern day Greek, would he also still be able to read and understand ancient Greek like we would, like tis and thine and thou becomes its and
Well,
your.
so to be clear on that, like when we talk about Old English, we're talking about within the last 500 years.
Hmm. Oh,
English
okay, okay,
itself
okay, okay.
is a
So it's more
derivative
recent
of
than
like,
ancient Greek.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
English itself is a derivative of Latin on most levels. I do not think most English speakers could read Latin.
That's true. I
You're
see what
looking
you're
at
saying.
that
Okay.
length of time.
I see what you're saying. Thank you. I always wondered that. Uh Poke Runyon in one of his documentaries said ceremonial magic induces a hypnotic state. Yes, it does. All of the ritual, well, not all of them, but most of the ritual actions, the vibrating of the sacred names and all that, a lot of the tools, the incense, the symbols, redoing your chamber in the same color as the planet, all that is part of getting you into that altered state of consciousness. Yes.
So to the person who was asking for a Greek translation of the Hermetica, I am absolutely sure that it exists. Unfortunately, because it is being translated from Greek, when I try to do Google searches on it, I am getting keyword blocked. My suggestion would be to go to a local bookstore and not like Barnes and Noble. Please find a local bookstore. They need you. Go to a local bookshop and ask them if they can help you find one. That's someone who speaks the language, probably knows the terms, and can dig in there for you. That would be my suggestion for finding a Greek translation of the Corpus Hermetica.
There you go. I hope that answers your question. I think it was Apocalyptic who asked that. Oh no, it was Gikio. G Kyo. What are the angels' personalities like? Well, they are individuals, so there's no one set personality, but I will say that they're very uniform in their mannerisms and in how they treat you. Whereas other spirits like demons are more individualistic. Um, I like to say working with angels is like working with the government and working with demons is like working with the mafia. Both of them will get you what you're looking for. It just depends on how they're going to go about getting it. The government's going to make you go through all kinds of hoops. You got to sign this, you got to be here at this time, and then after you're done signing that, we got to evaluate you, make sure that you're not criminal and touching kids and all this other crazy nonsense. And then after that, there's a 60-day waiting period and blah blah blah. We know how the government works, right? Bureaucracy real slow, got to jump through hoops, hurdles, and it probably still won't even happen. Whereas the mafia, yeah, we'll do what you want, gabagool, mama's gugash, we'll do what you want, but it's going to cost you, and you might not like what we have to do to get the job done. So, do you want it or not? Is kind of, but their personalities, it's very individualistic, right? Mikael would not act the same as Yahuel, and Anael would not act the same as Megamedan. So it just depends. Mm-mm.
Um,
Can you elaborate on the concept of news? Um, so how much further would you like us to go than what we already did? I'm not sure how to go any deeper than it's the mind of God, and that mind is immanent, meaning it pervades through everything, including us. We have news, which is what we use to connect to God. It's that divine spark. Um, I don't know. That's what separates us from the animals and from the plants. You know, these other conscious things. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, how far do you want us to go? I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Kevin,
No,
or
I think it really does need to like
Alchemic, excuse
what
me.
specifics are you want to do because I think the divine connection is about as 'cause even then it can get into the way nous is used sometimes in the text. Sometimes it's used to talk about just the divine mind, and then others it's that
Mhm.
divine spark within us. So I think without the specifics of what you're looking for, it's really hard. It's almost too broad a question. And
Have you
GPO
read
wants
the
to
Book
ask.
of Saint Cyprian? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
GPO wants to know if I'm Greek. I am not. I am born and bred Southern USA.
Born in the USA. Have you read the Book of Saint Cyprian? Which one? There are three, I believe, that are popularly attributed to Cyprian: Portuguese, Iberian, and I'm blanking on the other one. Um, but which one? The Black Books, Portuguese, Iberian, and God, somewhere up north. I can't remember at the moment. But uh, the Black, yes. I don't recall reading anything else. Open world MMORPGs. Yes. I mean, well, not I don't really do the massively multiplayer stuff because they don't
Those are
do it the way
my
I like it.
those are my yeah, those are my thing. I can't put those down. That's why I
Yeah.
said I can't be trusted with them anymore.
Yeah. They don't do it the way I like it. I don't know. I'm probably not the best person to play games with. I'm very very picky, and if I don't like it, I don't, and I will not play with you. Or I won't. I just won't play. So yeah, I'm not the best person to come to for games. What about Magi? What about Magi? Magi, Black Cover, Full Metal. Oh, you're talking about animes. Okay, I was like, what about Magi? Okay, you're talking about animes. I don't know nothing about none of them, so I don't watch anime, so I don't know nothing about Black Clover, Full Metal Alchemist, Bleach, Ghost in the Shell, Moonfall, Night of the Comet, A Boy and His Dog, Signal. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, guys!
I know about half those, and based on the half that I know, you have excellent taste.
Maybe catch a Tarantino flick every now and then. Jeez, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no,
But
I try, man. I try like every few months. I'll try. I'll go online and I'll type up, like I'll search like what's a good anime for people who don't like animes or something like that, and I'll try it. And I'm like, this is garbage. Like, like I don't know. I'm just not. I don't know. Maybe I need to find one that doesn't have all of the exaggeration, like all of the exaggerated emotions, or like little girls are everywhere, but they're not little girls. They're really 6,000 years old, but for some reason she's 4 and she's wearing a diaper. And like maybe I need to find some that don't have those tropes in it because that stuff bothers me. I can't get past that stuff.
I really want to recommend Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The only thing that makes me kind of hesitant is so the reason we know Brotherhood is there was originally a Fullmetal Alchemist anime. It was based on a manga series, and at a certain point in the series, it catches up to the manga.
Okay.
And instead of like when that happens, typically the show will either go on a break or it will start doing filler episodes that don't mean anything and are just there to be there until the story has more to produce. Full Metal Alchemist decided to just kind of go in its own direction,
That's smart.
and it was not to the betterment of anyone.
Oh no, it wasn't smart. All right,
Noticeable
I was gonna say
decline.
that's what
It,
they
it,
do in film now.
it was a noticeable decline in quality.
Oh wow.
And so it's kind of like the Game of Thrones thing where once the original writers weren't writing for them anymore, they just weren't as good at it.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is a reboot that follows the manga more closely. But because of
Okay.
that, they don't want to retread the same ground, so they move through the first season or so of the original very quickly.
Okay.
And I feel like
Um.
that kind of robs some of the key moments because while um the girl and her dog is still extremely traumatic, um it's far more in the original because you spent so much more time with those characters.
Is it anything like what was that one anime that I semi tolerated? Castlevania? Is it anything like Castlevania on Netflix?
I have not seen Castlevania, but from what I understand of it, yes, just
Okay.
less
Magic and
gore for
vampires and
gore's sake.
okay. All right. All right. Full
Like
Metal
when
Alchemist Brotherhood, you said?
yes.
All right. All right.
Another one
I
you might
will check
really
it
enjoy is
out.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I see. I used to see that on Cartoon Network all the time when I was growing up. I was just never into Cartoon Network except for Family Guy at 11 o'clock when I was growing up. I would go on Cartoon Network for Family Guy. Other than that, I was a Nickelodeon kid. So, all right. I will check out Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Um, yeah, because like the only animes I could ever get into growing up were the Americanized ones. And even though they did have some of the tropes, I hated those. But like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, of course, when you're 13, of course, those things are great. But as I got older, but I never got into Dragon Ball Z or I never got into Cowboy Bebop or any of that.
I
Um,
think you'd enjoy Bebop.
yeah, all right. I will check these out. Hopefully this will be the sitting that I sit down and I watch and I go, oh my God, this is great filmmaking. Wait, is it film? Is it considered filmmaking? No, or great animation. This is great
I
animation.
think it's the type of filmmaking. The reason I enjoy anime is I look at it as like there are certain things you cannot do in actual traditional film and it look
That's what my
good.
friends say.
There's going to be moments that just take you out of it.
Yeah.
Anime for me lets them explore those stories without that. Gundam is one of my favorites. Big giant robots smash her. But Gundam also dives very very deep into the meaning of the human condition.
Mm,
Like the original series, it's all about these people called new types. Because we've been in space for so long, our genes have begun to mutate, and people have begun getting special abilities, low levels of precognition. Are they still human?
hmm.
Are they evolutionary elite force? So it begins to explore that, and then it also explores the absolute brutality and horrificness of war. Different, differently at different levels of those two aspects, but in addition to being a giant robot anime, it has those human condition aspects of war built into it. I think in a traditional film like Pacific Rim tried to do certain parts of that. It tried to talk about the human condition,
Yeah.
but the giant robots kind of take you out of it because they're very obviously CGI.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There are some filmmakers that can, mix certain things together that really don't go together and it flows well. I think the Wachowski sisters now. I think they're good at that. At least one of them is. The other one, whatever. Um, Denis Villeneuve is pretty good at that. Chris Nolan, but I think I see what you mean. But yeah, I'm gonna check out this Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Uh,
Which corporate hermetist says it's on Hulu, so very easy
yes,
access
I
for
was
you.
I was just gonna say I think I've seen it on Hulu when I was browsing.
So maybe I'll do my 15th rewatch of that series.
Let's see. What do you think about the works of G.R.S. Mead? Worth buying or outdated? Alchemic is more familiar with Mead's work than I am.
Not worth buying because they are so freely available online. The only way I would buy a copy of Mead's work is if I was getting something that is very, very like leather bound and nice, like something very, very nice for the shelf, or to take like if you were going to like get sworn into office on something like that, because it has that biblical thee, thy, thou tech reading to it. Um, Other than that, if you're looking for to read, um, I would get The Way of Hermes by Solomon or Hermetica by Copenhagen. Either of those are very modern translations. Both do a phenomenal job. I think they beat Mead's work hands down. Um, Mead, and also with Mead's work, because it is so old, it's freely available on sites like Sacred Text. And I don't mean freely available as in you're sailing any high seas. They're just in the public domain now.
There you go. Um, person with the Welsh or Gaelic name. I don't know what you're talking about. Why do you keep saying Rachel Corey Bulldozer, Rachel Corey Bulldozer, JCB, Rachel Corey Bulldozer, Rachel Corey Bulldozer, Taylor Swift Bulldozer? What is this? What do you mean? What is this? I don't know what this means. Hey, brother, I just watched a TikTok of yours and I have a question. Okay, shoot. Lenin Matos, go ahead and shoot. Ancient Greek and modern Greek have the most similarities compared to other languages or other old lingos.
The
Specifically,
alchemical.
my former alchemy mentor is Rubophilos Salflureri. I'm not familiar with that person, but then again, I wasn't familiar with Albertus Frater I was going to say Albertus Magnus, Frater Albertus. So
So, Learn with Balbain says that the alchemical theater was written by one of their ancestors. I am not familiar with that text. I'm trying to look it up really quick.
even better if you go to a theology bookstore. Can someone share the Discord URL in the chat? I wish I could. I don't have. There's no way I can leave here and go go get it. How do you know the repercussions dealing with said mafia? You would work that out with the demon. So when you conjure the demon, if you're following proper protocol, you should work out payment before the work is even done. Um, so you and the demon would work that out, um, and then based on what however they're going to get the job done, you they should be able to let you know on any sort of roadblocks or bumps or things that could cause issues. So if God is in mind and God is all, then when the mind, wait. So if God is in mind and God is all, then when the mind, the all is well. Uh, I don't think I understand what you're asking there. Would you be able to maybe rephrase Lenin Matos? Let me read it. So if God is in mind and God is all, then when the mind, the all is well. Yeah. Perhaps if you can rephrase, I may be able to give you a better answer. And we are coming up to the end here, guys. We got about 10 minutes left. It was a great stream. Another one where we didn't actually get to read anything, but some awesome questions. I mean, this is exactly why we do it, guys. So, some excellent questions from the audience here.
Mr. Balbain, if I could ask a favor of you, if you have a copy of that digital and you wouldn't mind, would you mind emailing that to me? The email is just my username at Gmail. Um, because I'm looking over, I cannot find it. I find his copy of the 7 tracks, and I found one. Um, Tractus Septum. I can't find any references to the second book, so I'd actually be really interested in getting my hands on that. I can't. I don't believe that it doesn't exist. I just genuinely can't find it, and part of my brain is like, oh, I can't find something. I would like to have a copy of that for my own personal reference.
Hey, whoa! How is that happening? What's going on? Why is my mic still on? It's not plugged in. The light's not on. But when I do this, the it shows my mic is still on. What the hell?
Mm.
It's literally unplugged. It's like this is the plug right here. It's literally unplugged. So and the light is not on. The light, the red light is not on. Yet when I do this, the mic thing it moves. I don't have any other mics except for my phone, but I'm not. My phone's over here and I'm on it. So this is really weird. Big Brother is definitely doing something in my John right now. Okay. So I don't know what's up, but this is weird. I was like, why is that moving? Hold on. Now I gotta move all these wires back. That's really weird.
I'm just going
I
to say
don't know.
magic.
Yeah, I really don't know how that's happening, but somehow it's capturing everything I'm saying. That's really creepy. That's really really creepy. Mm. All right, let's see. A good anime for you is Samurai Champloo. Samurai Champloo. That's a
Um,
weird name.
it's Cowboy Bebop is the same creator, but instead of jazz and sci-fi western, it's hip hop and feudal Japan. But it is also a phenomenal series.
Yeah, I this is in. I'm still trying to figure out how this is capturing sound. I'm like really freaking out. This is insane. Doctor Stone is a great anime. Doctor Stone,
Haven't
Sharon
seen
Stone,
it.
good start off as Samurai Champloo. I'm gonna watch Doctor Stone. This is why Samurai Champloo was a good start. Cowboy Bebop is kind of like Samurai Champloo and Afro Samurai. I've heard of Afro Samurai, um, Cartoon Network, back in the day.
Afro Samurai
I never watched it, but I always
was
saw ads for it.
fun. I think Afro Samurai was fun, but I don't think I'd recommend it to someone who's not already like watching anime because it's one of those that like what it does well is work along with anime tropes. So it's kind of like it's a good anime, but I don't know if I'd recommend it to someone who isn't familiar with the genre already. Have I seen Strange Angel? It's a show based on the life of Jack Parsons. I have not.
I but I looked into it. Like I think there's what like two or three seasons. Because someone else, Apollo Asteria, brought that up on her show, Apollo's Odyssey, and like a few months ago. And so I was like, wait, what? There's a show about Jack Parsons. So I like went to go watch it, and I don't know. I couldn't get pulled into it, so it didn't seem that good to me. But um, what? I wish it would tell me where it's getting my sound from. All it says is high definition audio device. It doesn't say if it's getting it from my blue, um, uh, whatever this thing is, the blue ice box or
You
whatever.
may have onboard mic.
No, do I?
I mean, if it's recording sound with no mic plug, then you've got one somewhere.
There can't. So it comes with an onboard mic, but not onboard speakers. I gotta buy external. Like that's whack. Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right. Because when I touch this, yeah, that's so creepy. I gotta figure out how to turn that off. I only want my mic on when I want my mic on. I'm about to finish watching that show. I slept on it heavy. Discord. Yes, I do have a Discord. Click on the link in my bio and then go to my stand and click on the Discord link in the stand. Maybe, maybe I should just put the hold on.
So these
Maybe I
next two
should
are
just
for
put
you.
the
Corporate says it takes a episode to get into the Jack Parsons show, but it gets better once you get into the Thelema aspect.
okay. All right, yeah, because like
And
I watched like the first maybe two episodes, And I was like, what is this? Like, so I don't know.
And Malvaro was asking what gadget you bought.
What gadget I bought?
I'm assuming he's talking
What do you
about
mean?
your computer issues.
I didn't buy anything new. Or does it mean the computer itself? It's uh, a minis forum. It's a Chinese brand. It's not anything that you can walk into Best Buy and get. It's a minis forum. I don't know. AMD Ryzen 9, 34 gigs of RAM. I don't know, something like that. I just need something. I just needed something that could edit my videos, or excuse me, render my videos faster than 10 hours. Because that's what my laptop was giving me, 10 hours for a 2 hour video. I'm like, what the fuck? This is pure witchery. It is. I couldn't figure it out. But apparently, it's gotta be this. Okay. Maybe I do have a mic on my
Maybe he.
computer.
What's funny about the pure witchery thing is, in the context of the moment, I can't tell if they're trying to mock our religion, mock our magical practices, or tease you about the fact that your mic is still recording.
Maybe it's all three. Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be this up here. This has to, so this top, either this, no, this is the fan. So it's got to be this right here. This, but this should be speakers, but whatever. I was scared of that LGBT scene. Whoa, what? There was an LGBT, there was an LGBT scene in what? In anime? What are you talking about?
Like,
Oh,
first
in
of all,
Strange Angel.
why are you scared of LGBTQIA? Like, they can only
Yeah, don't be
convert you if
scared.
you were already there.
I like Strange Angel, but it's not very accurate to reality, and it didn't finish their story arc. Maybe they got canceled. That happens a lot. Shows get canceled before they can finish their story, or they just go pitch black right as soon as the daughter walks into the restaurant and sees her father, and then it goes, and then no, I'm sorry, the father and daughter were sitting in the restaurant, and then these two guys walk in. We assume they were going to kill the father, and we all we see is the screen go pitch black. Yes, I'm referring to The Sopranos.
Um, multiple people in my chat are noting that they did cancel it.
They canceled The Sopranos.
No, the
Oh, okay. I was
Strange
about to
Angels.
say The Sopranos just stopped. But yeah, that would make sense if the story didn't get finished. Yeah, the only reason would be it was because they were canceled.
Yeah.
AMD for the win. Yeah, I chose AMD over Intel after doing a lot of review or doing a lot of research and finding out that a lot of people prefer AMD over Intel. So I went with the AMD Ryzen 9, something like that. Yeah, it got canceled. Makes sense. What are y'all
And
thoughts on
Navarro.
Hollywood studio fire? What is that a show or a game, or was there an actual Hollywood studio that caught on fire? Because I'm surprised I haven't heard of that.
And Navarro, the topic for tonight was supposed to be a reading of the Sobian fragment, but we just had another series of just questions all night, and answering those kind of took up the whole time slot. So tonight's talking point has pretty much just been Hermetic Q&A.
Yeah. Oh, at the Warner Brothers, John? Black smoke was billowing at the Hollywood set where hit TV shows including Friends and The Big Bang Theory were filmed. Well, is there anything currently being filmed? Well, probably not because the writers were on strike, right? So maybe that's why. Maybe that's what it was from. The writers are upset and they blew something up. I don't know,
If
but
early
nothing should be
2000s
filming
taught
now.
us anything, it is that TV will still be produced even with no writers.
Yeah, that's. Well, I don't know, but since Hollywood runs on unions, if there's no writers, the union won't allow. Yeah, SAG won't
I didn't
allow it to
say good
happen.
TV. I just said TV. Hi, Cynthia. Yes, I am a Mason. My friend Rebel is not.
I am not yet. But no, I did not hear about this fire. But I mean, I don't think there's anything weird going on or like anything crazy. Just a fire, something probably shorted out or someone smoking and threw a cigarette or whatever. And, I don't think there's anything weird going on with it. At least not yet. Now, if the fire, after they cleaned it up, it's been a few days, and then we find out that a couple of reels went missing or, something like that. Some prints are gone. Maybe that's a problem. But just having a fire out, that just could be a, somewhat normal occurrence, especially being in California where they have fires every other day. So,
The corporate hermeticists would like to say that we're getting another 50 seasons of Supernatural until the strike is over.
oh my God, please
So,
no.
so here's the thing that it's so weird. The first 5 seasons of Supernatural were like phenomenal, so good. You could tell that they had a plan from episode 1 to the end. It was very well done, executed. I was a huge fan. And then they did season 6, which was not necessary. The story was done. And then from season 6 to, was it 12 or 15 that they ended with? You had some of
I have
their
no idea.
best and their worst seasons. It was so hyperbolic on whether it was amazing or God, why.
Yeah, I wasn't really that big of a fan of Supernatural. I was more into like Charmed and Angel and stuff like that. Uh, there's speculation that Strange Angel was canceled because season 3 was going to have El Ron in it. I don't think that would have caused it to be canceled. If anything, that would have been pretty probably a good thing ratings wise, right? In Hollywood, all news is good news, whether it's good or bad. And
There,
it may not be good news for you, but it's good news for someone. So, like for example, Jonathan Majors and his scandal that's happening right now. Obviously, that's not good news for him, but that's good news for the media companies that are putting out the story. So in Hollywood, all news is good news. It's
I
good for
think
someone.
what they were trying to say is the Church of Scientology tends to be very productive or protective of
Oh,
that.
holy crap! I forgot about that.
Yeah. But corporate hermetics is saying that season 2 had Elrond in it.
Oh, well,
But
there you
that may
go.
also have been why, because if you did not paint Elrond as a genius prophet, if you were to paint him in any way as a dude who had a literal bet with his best friend on who could make the bigger religion, that might not play well with them.
That I can see that. But then I wonder how much power does Scientology have in Hollywood? Their only major star is Tom Cruise, and John Travolta, who's not really doing much. So Tom Cruise, and he pretty much only works for one show. So outside of who does Mission Impossible, Universal, maybe. Outside of them, I feel like I don't know. I feel like someone like Ari Emanuel could probably get who's the leader of David Miscavige taken out if he really really wanted to. I'm confident Ari runs in some interesting circles, especially from where he comes from, him and his brother, where they came from, and how they helped Obama become president. Yeah, I think if Ari wanted to take David out, I think it would be pretty easy.
Yeah, and Afros, I 100% agree. The Men of Letters was such a cool concept. I loved almost everything they did in relation to them. Like I said, some of the second set, the series 6 through 15, were some of my favorite seasons. But they were also some of the worst, and there was no balancing it back and forth. It very much felt uneven and without a direction. It definitely felt like a show that was every season they were plotting for it to be their last. And I will never, never, never forgive the CW for buying the rights to the Constantine show, to that character, to that actor, buying all that, and instead of just expanding their superhero shows to put the Constantine show and Supernatural's time slot and keep moving forward like that, turning him into a joke on Legends of Tomorrow. I will never let that go.
I've not watched any of that. I don't fuck with L. Ron Hubbard. I would say I fuck with Crowley more. Yeah, I'm not a fan of L. Ron or Crowley really, but
I don't necessarily. Here's the thing. What Elrond did was manipulative and monstrous, and I will never like him because he did it. Because he built an entire religion on manipulation tactics. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it is public knowledge that he had that bet, and people still go into it. So I have a certain amount of it's not your fault people stuck their foot in the mousetrap with him. Um, Whereas Crowley was just a hateful monster who ran around spewing more hate. Like, I have no room for Crowley.
Not a single foot of room was left for him. All right. I'm glad y'all know the truth. Amen.
I
All
said there
right.
is one thing that Crowley did that was genuinely devil is due situation, genuinely for the betterment of mankind, and I have to give it to him.
He died? No, I'm kidding.
He
That
got
was
kicked down a
terrible.
flight of stairs. Giving me that joke material was a genuine kindness.
That is true. And God, I would have loved to have seen that. Like, I just want, I would love to have seen it, and then I would love to see his face afterwards. Like, did that just happen? Yeah, that happened to you, Crowley. You fell down, and it's on CCTV camera, but unfortunately, it's not. So,
We're putting it on TikTok.
someone should reenact that. Some really good actors should like get together and like reenact that. That would be really really interesting. Um, but yeah, so I think that will bring us to the end here, guys. That'll be the end of our Hermeticism live stream this week. Thank you all for coming and attending, and for those who have been coming for almost the entire time. Thank you very much for being here with us for almost a year. For the new guys, I hope you guys stick around and continue to join us every Wednesday to around 11 when we do these readings and discussions. Sometimes it might end up just being a Q&A if the questions are really good and stay on topic like tonight and last week. But yeah, we do this every week. Thank you all for being out here. Thank you, Alchemic, for taking the time out of your evening to hop on here and answer some questions. If you guys have an interest in alchemy, Freemasonry, Hermeticism, please do give Alchemic Mason a follow. He's a lot of knowledge on these things, and I cannot wait until he gets his alchemy station up and going, and he starts putting some videos out on that.
You and me both. It has been a project.
So thank you all for being here. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. Do you have any final words, Alchemic?
Um, just the usual spiel, guys. Thank you all so much for coming out. Whether you're a follower of Hermeticism or you're just someone who is interested in what it's about and likes to learn about other things, thank you for being here, being a part of the discussion, asking these amazing questions. The entire concept behind these evenings is a forum, a discussion. The more of you guys are asking questions, the more topical they are, the better for everyone. I appreciate the absolute bejeebus out of all of you. I want to thank so much Mystical Rebel. You know, he mentioned that I was messaging him trying to get this going. There were like four other people I was messaging, and they were all like, "Yeah, let's do it." He was the one that showed up. He was the one that has been here. I could not do this without him. Like 100%. He has
Well,
been
thank
the
you,
one
brother.
that's every Wednesday messaging me, "We good for tonight? You gonna actually show up?" So thank you so much for that, my friend. And
Of course.
guys, if you're on here and you want a no nonsense approach to magic, you want to understand occultism through a very what works type of viewing, please go follow my good friend Mystical Rebel. He is an absolute font of wisdom and understanding on those topics. Um, and yeah, I really hope to see more of you here next Wednesday. Invite friends. Again, this isn't a conversion session. This isn't a, you should follow Hermeticism. This is an opportunity to discuss and learn about it. If that interests you or you think there's someone you know that's interested, let's just keep going. Hermetic talk is growing. I absolutely love it. There are now alchemists and hermeticists on TikTok that I still have not met that are joining the platform and discussing. Let's keep the community building because I love the hell out of y'all. These date nights are a highlight of my week every week. Thank you.
Amen. And Jeremy Crow, then you would love Alchemic's content. Jeremy says he hasn't done lab work in a long time, but he still has his distillation train. Um,
I also highly recommend Ex Ludo Lucem. He is a phenomenal
yes.
alchemist on here. They
Yep.
have just their entire channel is nothing but practical alchemy. Highly
Yeah.
recommend. Actually missed them tonight. I should see if they're okay.
Yes, that's for those who didn't hear, that's ex Ludo Lucem. So look him up on TikTok. And I am super thankful for you, Satori Shaman. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate you guys. But yeah, that'll be it for us this evening, guys. Thank you all for being here, and we will see you in the next one. As
See you all
always,
soon.
seek the mysteries.
Bye, guys.
Peace.